His general theory of relativity showed that Newton's law of gravitation also only approximately correct and would break down in the presence of very strong gravitational fields. Einstein introduced special relativity in 1905 and general relativity in 1915. We will discuss the two in the same order. Special relativity, part 1. The speed of light is maximum possible speed and is always measured to have the same value by all observers. A bullet fired from a speeding car will be measured by an outside observer to have a velocity equal to the sum of the velocities of the car and the bullet. However, a beam of light shining forward from a moving craft will still be measured by an outside observer to have a velocity of c and then parentheses 300 million miles per second, regardless of the speed of the spacecraft. The speed of light is independent of the speed of the source of or the speed of the observer. So regardless of who's watching or what else is going in the same, what they're measuring it up against, speed of light will always have the same exact speed no matter what. They are independent of one another. But that's only for the speed of light. Special relativity part 2. There is no absolute frame of reference and no absolute frame of grasp. This means that there is no preferred observer relative to whom all the other velocities can be measured. We may feel like we are preferred observers on Earth, but as you stand still on Earth's surface, the Earth is rotating at a speed of 1,000 miles per hour. It is orbiting around the sun at a speed of 67,000 miles per hour. Wait, is that true? The Earth is rotating at a speed of 1,000 miles per hour. That's cool. It's orbiting around the sun at a speed of 76 miles per hour. Hmm. I mean, that's 76,000 miles per hour. I mean, when you really think of it, it's because it's so big and they're measuring it in miles per hour because that's what we know. But really, there can be a different, more accurate form of measurement that we just haven't created yet. Or put a name to yet, I should say. Because it's there. We didn't create it. We just put a name to it when we found it out. Anyways, the sun is orbiting around the center of the Milky Way at a speed of 450,000 miles per hour. And the Milky Way is moving through the intergalactic space at a speed of over 1,000,000 miles per hour. So we, when we quote unquote stand still on Earth, we are moving well over 1,000,000 miles per hour as well. Therefore, velocities measured from our location in space are relative. Only relative velocities between observers matter. Special relativity part 3. Space and time are not independent, but can instead be identified as space-time. Neither space nor time can be considered independently of each other in Einstein's relativity. They are now components of a single entity known as space-time. So not only is there no absolute frame of reference in the universe, there is also no absolute universal time. Depending on motion, observers' clocks, will tick at different rates, and their time will measure differently. Oh, really? Yeah, sometimes I wonder, I have no bottles of water. Zero, zero. My mouth is dry AF. Like, I feel like Sponge. I feel like SpongeBob in that Dome episode. Water. Look, when I leave this room, I'm going to sleep. So I'm just gonna have to. I'm gonna have to, bear with it. I it's just my husband, but it's also like a couple days ago, and I'm pretty sure my son got to it first. Because my son got to it first. There's slow days. Just need to get Alright, it's important to remember that special relativity and oh, I said that. Did I? No. Okay, yeah. Focus. It is important to remember that special relativity and Newtonians. Sounds like a person. Or, yeah. Anyways, mechanics are equivalent when describing objects that are moving more slowly than the speed of light. But measurements and calculation will differ greatly at speeds approaching the speed of light. Oh, okay. Relativistic speeds. Okay. Einstein commonly used thought measurements to address questions in his theories of relativity because physical experiments are largely impractical to perform because of the extreme conditions. Okay, Einstein commonly used thought experiment to address questions in his theories of relativity because physical experiments are largely impractical to perform because of the extreme conditions required. Thought experiments allow us to see how the concepts of space and time must be altered in order to accept Einstein's theories. We will now conduct a few thought experiments to address one of the consequences of Einstein's special relativity, a phenomena known as a dilation. Thought experiment 1. Sally is standing in a field and John is riding on a railroad car that is moving with a velocity v. Oh, that was okay. So Sally is standing on a field and John is riding on a railroad car that is moving with a velocity v. John shines a flashlight in the direction in which he is moving. What do they both observe? I guess it doesn't matter where she is as long as she's not like in front of or I guess behind. Because if she's behind, she can't really see what he sees. But anyways, um, what do they both observe? Answer: because of part one of special relativity, the principle of the consistency of light, we know that each observer will measure the beam of light from the flashlight as traveling at the same speed. Yeah, I guess so. But if he's, I mean, the light is moving, but it's not like, I don't know, I'm confused. Okay, I guess I should go to part one. So there's no absolute frame of reference and no absolute frame of reference. Oh, okay. In part two, space and time are not independent, but can instead be identified as space time. three. Oh, part two was there was no absolute frame of reference and no absolute frame of reference. And then part one is the speed of light is the maximum possible speed and is always measured to have the same value by all observers. Okay. Four. Okay. Uh, mm, Thought experiment two. Sally is standing in a field next to her is a light clock. That is yeah, that is two mirrors that are reflecting a beam of light back and forth, and the journey from one mirror to the other and back again counts as one tick of the clock. Huh. Also, Sally is wearing a watch that is synchronized with her light clock. That's cool. I've never seen a light clock before. Note so. Look up light clock. Light clock. John is standing on a stationary railroad car. He is all He also has a light clock, and his clock is synchronized with Sally's and his own wristwatch. What happens? Nothing unusual happens. John's watch and clock stay perfectly synchronized with each other and with Sally's. Yeah, why would it change? They are completely independent of one another. One does not happen because of the other. They happen independently. All right. We have the same setup except the railroad car is now moving to the left with the velocity v. What happens? From John's perspective, the beam of light keeps going up and down between the mirrors, but from Sally's perspective, the light now has to travel a diagonal path from one mirror to another since Sally still measures the speed of light at c. She is now going to observe John's light clock as ticking slower than hers, since the light now has a longer distance to travel. However, since John is moving along at the speed as the railroad car, he still experiences his watch as being synchronized with his light clock. So Sally will see his watch slow down along with his light clock. I'm gonna have to reread this tomorrow because that made no sense to me at all. Alright, yeah, I'm starting to get a headache, so I'm going to bed. Good night, guys. See you later. Uh, you know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm not gonna beg, but it would mean a lot to me if you would. But it's your life. I'm gonna tell you what to do. Hope you have a good night or good morning wherever you're looking at me from. See you next time. Bye.